Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video we will be doing Windows NT 4.0 Workstation Service Pack 1. I didn't bother getting the OEM because I was able to actually get my Service Pack 1 CD, so it makes it a little bit easier. This is actually a two-part video. Video number 1 is going to show us how to install Windows NT and get to the desktop, put virtual VM tools on there and make it up and running properly. And then part 2 will actually be us to update it from Service Pack 2 all the way to Service Pack 6, where it had an end of life at that point. A little brief history with it. It came out in '96. The final end of life was in 2004. And it actually has the same exact security updates that all the other operating systems got when WannaCry hit and a bunch of other security vulnerabilities. They actually went ahead and issued a patch out to assist it, just like they did with XP, Millennium Edition, technically Vista 7, and so on. So it's a very straightforward setup. It's based on the NT kernel. So the NT kernel doesn't require MS-DOS or anything crazy to do the install. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start by creating a new virtual machine. Now everything I do in the video obviously is down in the description below. I'll have links to everything, as well as this VM. So if you don't even want to bother doing the VM and you just kind of want the VM ready to go, there will be a downloadable VM of this in the link below. So we're going to click on typical, and then we're going to browse for our disk. Now I created the folder already. Everything in these folders you will receive as well. So here is our WinNT 4 Service Pack 1 OEM CD. And inside here is all the other service packs that we'll be doing at a later date. So we're going to go ahead and mount this, hit next. Now I always like to label what it is because it actually is a bunch of Windows NT. And what version it is, because you had Workstation, Server, Embedded, there, and I believe Advanced Server was another one. So yeah, you had actually a few flavors of Windows NT, but today we'll just be doing Workstation. Alright, hit next. Recommended size is 4 gigs. I do believe there's actually is a hard drive capacity level for this. I think it's 8 gigs max before the system freaks out and you have to start doing everything yourself. So we're just going to leave everything at native. The only thing we're going to change is the RAM. I know I can boost up the RAM a little bit, so we don't have to worry about any kind of issues. And because it's such a small file size, I just store it as a single file. Alright, so for here we're going to hit customize hardware, and like I said, we're just going to do 2 quick changes. Change number 1 is we're going to give it 512, and then we're going to go to network adapter and put it as bridge, because we should be able to get networking on here. Once you complete all that, you're going to click on finish, but make sure you check power on this virtual machine so we can just get right into it. You will be greeted with a SCSI device error. It's not really an error, just letting you know that not every device or every CD for these things actually have a driver for it. So if you're going to use a SCSI device or a SCSI hard drive, make sure you have a driver for it. I know we get some issues with Windows XP, which is kind of odd because it came out later. But for the most part on VMware, it does find the basics of it all. So considering that they told us, hey, we're going to build this for you, without us doing any kind of hard drive changing or anything, it should be fine for this installation. If you want to convert it to IDE, you're more than welcome to. You would just click on add and then just switch out the hard drive. I'm sorry, actually you just click on hard drive, click on advanced, and then you'll go ahead and just change it out. So I don't think I can while the VM is up and running. So you click on hard drive and see where it says SCSI. We'll go down here to advanced, and then from here this drop down menu you can pick SCSI, SATA, RAID, or IDE. So if you want to go ahead and change to an IDE, you can. It will be a slave drive, considering that they're going to assume this is the actual master. You can change that where you can see the 1 and 0s, but I really wouldn't recommend or worry about that in this situation. Everything should just go through just fine. So from here, we're going to click enter to start the setup. This is the error message that's letting you know that this is a SCSI drive that we're installing it onto, and if you do not have the drivers for it, this may not work properly. So you can go ahead and specify additional device drivers. This is actually only for if you're going to really install this in a live environment. Like I said, for VMware and probably for VirtualBox or any virtualization, it's not going to be an issue. So from here, we're going to press enter to skip this. And then from here, it's letting us know that the hard drive will be erased and everything will be reinstalled. So to continue, you have to press C. Now here's your license agreement. Back in the day, you actually had to keep pressing page down, which is scrolling through it all. It's kind of like how today is. Some programs today require you to actually scroll all the way to the bottom before you can agree, just so that they can say that you actually did read it. So if you want some reading material, go ahead and read everything you got to read. I just went ahead and hit F8 to jump to the next screen. Now we're dealing with the components of the system. Now, for the most part, you can leave everything as is. I've installed it as is and never had a problem yet, so I don't think you have to change anything here. For the most part, it just, if you're installing this on an actual regular computer, you will have to go through these steps and just make sure that whatever you're installing it on is compatible or does work with it. So for the most part, I left everything here. Even display, you only get an option of technically 2 displays, but VMware Tools will go ahead and fix any kind of errors. As you can see, it's a 16-bit color at 640 by 480. Again, VMware Tools will go ahead and install graphics drivers for you and do everything else. So from this point, I usually leave everything as default, and then I go ahead and press enter to go to the next screen. Okay, here's your partitioning page. Now you can do what we've done before, where you press C to go ahead and create the partition, or if you want, you can just hit enter and it'll go ahead and format it and create it for you to begin with. You have a choice of FAT or NTFS, so it's more of a preference for you. I'm going to go with NTFS because later on, if I actually want to upgrade this, you will be able to much easier. So if I want to say install Windows 2000 on top of this, I can, and then from 2000 that, because they use the NTFS file structure. So there's no conversion, there's no error messages saying, oh, you can't do this, you got to reformat. So I just go ahead with the NTFS. Will I do that in virtual? Probably not. Okay, so it's asking where do you want to install your directory. By default, Windows NT always created as WinNT, not Windows, because this was a networking based operating system as opposed to the other ones that are more home based. So you wouldn't really see this at your house. At least not a lot of people actually had this at their home. This was in an office and enterprise environment. So you had the Windows NT server, you had the embedded on any one of the laptops they used to have, or you would have Workstation on the desktops and a few laptops. So from here, we'll leave it as the default and press enter. Okay, now this is going to go ahead and check your drive for corruptions. You can hit enter to go ahead and perform this if you're doing it in a live environment. But for us, we're just going to hit escape, only because we just created it. We know the drive is okay and secure. There's no problems with it. So no reason to run a scan disk. Okay, so now it's telling you if you have anything in your CD-ROMs or floppies and everything, please remove it. At this time here with VMware, it goes and actually removes the CD automatically on reboot. So we're greeted with the OS loader, which kind of reminds me a lot like a grub loader. Okay, so now we're greeted with the really long and terrible boot screen, technically, I guess we would call this. If it takes a little bit longer, as you can see, I do all my videos in real time. So this actually does take a little bit. You may think your computer's frozen. It's not. Just let it run its course. It will actually do now. What it'll actually do is it'll actually probably reboot 2 or 3 times just to make sure everything's installed properly, everything's set up for the actual initial install. And the install with this is actually fairly quick. This wasn't a very long install at all on any one of them. This is probably one of the shorter ones, like when you had like Windows 3 and 3.11. 95 was definitely much longer than this. This is also technically, as I would say, the rival for Windows 95. So we're at the welcome screen. All right, we're going to hit next. Now we always pick typical. You can go ahead and do custom, but I only recommend just doing typical to get all your basics installed and everything you need. And then we're going to go ahead and type in Oops. We're going to go ahead and type in our name. You can leave organization blank, that's fine. And now we're going to type in the computer name so that we can actually remember what it is. So I always like to do Windows NT 4, okay, just so I know that what version it is. And then we have our admin password. So this is very crucial. You should make sure you remember this. This is actually, again, the admin section of Windows NT. If you forget it, there are ways of obviously, changing it while you're logged into the system. But for all intents purposes, you can make it password. It doesn't have to be that secure. Not many people are using Windows NT 4 today. But for good practices, make it as secure as you possibly can. Now you have the emergency repair disk. That will be provided for you guys also in the description below. I've already created these. All they are is that in case something goes wrong with your Windows NT setup or pretty much your NT operating system, you can boot into a floppy drive and it actually runs a very bare bone recovery disk. And then from there you can go ahead and run recovery features to try to fix or repair your operating system. But for this situation, we're going to click no and do it later. Alright, so from here we have an option to install the most common components, or we can do list of other components. So I'm going to click on show others just to kind of show you guys what else they have in here. So there really wasn't much involved with it. You can do Windows messaging, do games, which might as well add games to it because who doesn't love solitaire. From there you can click details and you can pick and choose which games you want. But again, this wasn't a working environment. So a lot of people weren't allowed to actually do this or really needed games. Same thing with certain things in here. A lot of people would take out the character map, they would take out the clock out of the situation. Screensavers will be removed if you're actually in a real environment. Okay, so now we're on to the networking part. Now again, this thing should run on a network. It may not run the internet. I don't remember if it did or not, but it should be able to connect to your actual network. So that's why we changed the bridge. And what it'll be able to do is you should be able to ping your router, see everything shared, files between the setups. Probably not too much easily because again, this is Windows NT, a completely different file structure. But who knows? We'll be finding that out in a little bit. All right. So we're going to go ahead and click next because we're on a wire to the network. Then we're going to click on Start Search. Now, it's only going to find one network adapter because that's what VMware uses, the AMD PCNet Family Ethernet adapter. So from there, we're going to check that off and hit Next. We're going to leave the TCP protocol turned on. And then we're going to hit Next here to go ahead and install that component. Now from here, we can do full duplex. We'll do a 10 base T port because that's what it is. And now it's asking us if we have a DHCP server installed. Now, depending on how you have it set up, more than likely you're going to hit yes on this. If you're using your NAT, you can still hit yes because your NAT is actually a running DHCP. If you decide to pick your network adapter as host only, obviously that's a no because you don't have that feature. Unless your host only is a PSN's router running in the background and you're linking everything together. But for the most part, whether you pick NAT or bridged, you can go ahead and click yes on this because you will have a DHCP server running. Alright, so now it's going to go ahead and start the network. Okay, so now verify that there is actually a network running. And under computer name, you can name it whatever you would like to. Usually we leave it default. And then the work group, you can do whatever you want. So if you have a domain you want to use, you can. If you got technically a subdomain with it, we'll do VM dot, or actually no, I'm sorry, this actually won't do that. And you can also create the computer account in the domain if you have that. But for the most part, we just leave everything as default. Alright, so right now, I'm located in Eastern Europe for this video. So I'm going to go ahead and set my time adjustments, but you can choose whatever will work out for you. Alright, now we're greeted with the VGA adapter. You can pick and choose 800 by 600, 640 by 480. But for the time being, we're just going to go ahead and leave it as is, because once we install the actual drivers, we can go ahead and fiddle with it. And there we go. So we're going to go ahead and restart the computer. Now it does tell you to empty out the CD, but we've already done that. Here is the really long boot screen. I guess it's not really that long, but it's long enough. It just seems really weird that they just chose that as like the, hey, let's do this. Okay, so with Windows Workstation, obviously, it is a workstation. So we're going to have to press Control, Alt, and Delete. Now, if you do this on your computer itself, it will freak out. You will go to your own Control, Alt, Delete, Task Manager. So to do this in VMware, it is Control, Alt, and Insert. All right. Or, if you would want, you can go up here to VM, and you can actually hit Send Control, Alt, Delete. Now our password, we have to go ahead and type in our password that we created earlier, our very secure one. And that's it. So now we are technically in Windows NT4 Workstation Service Pack 1. Let's go ahead and just verify. Well, if it did say Service Pack 1, we would be doing much better here. I don't know why it doesn't. Maybe it didn't back then. I'm not sure. So startup and shutdown was actually pretty cool because you were able to actually add to this. It was pretty interesting back in the day. So you can dual boot much easier than it is today. All right, so we're going to install VMware Tools. So go to VM, install VMware Tools. We are not going to install VMware Tools. So we are going to actually have to install the other service packs. Could have swore it was a little different, but okay. So first things first, let's go on the Service Pack 2. Go here, cancel VMware Tools installation, so it brings back our other CD. So you can see down there at the bottom, it mounted the wrong CD. Okay. So we're going to go down here to the bottom right hand corner, Browse, Service Pack 2. So this probably will not be a two-part video. Open. There we go. Okay. Do we want to create an uninstall directory? Sure, why not? More than likely there is no going back at this point here, so now we're going to have to do the restart every time. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and mount Service Pack 3. Hit OK. And then we're just going to go ahead and boot right into our Windows NT. Now that I think about it, I do remember that I had to install all the service packs before they would put VMware Tools. And actually, I don't think you had to install them all. I think I had to install certain updates that got us to that point. And then we were able to go from there. But I was going to do a video anyway of installing all service packs from, SP1 all the way up. So just keep it rolling. So now we're in the Service Pack 3. Double click. So now we're going to install Service Pack 3. Go ahead and create the uninstall directory. Now, think it does let us know. Nope, still doesn't let us know. I guess it came later on when it started letting you know the service packs that you had. Okay, Control Alt, and let's go ahead and load number 4. Go ahead and boot right into the system. You know, for some reason this screen just bothers me. But it does say in the top corner it is Service Pack 3. Okay, now again, Control Alt Insert, type in password, and eventually you'll get us there. Perfect. So, you may be wondering what we're going to do next, and yes, we are going to install Service Pack 4. And as you can see here, they actually keep changing a little bit. The first one was actually an install. The second one looked like it was just copying files, to be honest. I'm sorry, the second install was an actual install. The third one looked like it copied files over. And this one here looks like it actually had a well-built, well, not a well-built, but a good enough built for the Windows NT kernel for the actual install. So it's pretty interesting to see the GUI changing for each one. Okay, so now we're at Service Pack 4. Let's go on to number 5 now. Go ahead and mount that. Boot into the terrible blue screen. Ironically, I just find it funny that they chose this, and then eventually we all got the the blue screen of death in later years. So I guess this is the original. This is the OG of the blue screening. Okay, Control Alt Insert. Type in your password. I kind of hope this isn't going to break it either. I don't think it will, but I usually do snapshots every time. This was actually, I remember this one. This is actually funny. This is a Y2K fiasco scenario. So if you didn't want to have a problem with Y2K, which it did actually affect these type of systems, you had to go ahead and install versions higher for this. So you had the Internet Explorer and the data access components. Okay, so you can go ahead and read the text file here, letting us know where we can go to get them. As you can see, they actually have websites that we have to go to grab them. But I don't think they actually still work anymore. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to actually save this on the desktop because I believe the next version actually fixes it. So cancel out of that. I do believe when the new Service Pack 6 came out, I believe it went ahead and updated all those anyway. This is so that if you only had Service Pack 4 and you didn't have anything else, they're telling you, hey, you need to update this, otherwise you'll never be able to use your computer anymore. Because we wouldn't be able to tell the time. We're going to go back in time to the 1990s. Okay, restart, and let's do the last service pack. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up, move this over, waiting for it to actually reboot before I do it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and mount the final service pack so we can actually get VMware tools installed. I feel it's like a problem. If VMware, is not going to, makes you kind of have to update all this. Because now that I do remember back when I first did this years ago, I was so happy. I'm like, I have Windows NT, I'll go ahead and do this, and I'll just, easily upgrade the service packs and do all the different fixes and hot fixes that you need for it, to find out that I had to do it all previously. So wasn't the most happy moment of my life. Although I'm kind of happy though, I did not have to worry about a serial number. You know, you're always tossing up coins, which is very weird. But I do believe that the server edition does have serial numbers. The NT Workstation, if I remember correctly, they came out. So when you bought a server, you actually were given, you know, Windows NT 4.0 workstation CDs as well with it. And I do believe that if they were coded for the server, or you know, are just unblocked because you weren't buying them for extras, you're buying them with the package deal. So let's go ahead, open up Service Pack 6, which one day I'll learn. Okay, and here we go. So SP i386, even still, they're still changing them. Go ahead and install. And then let's cross our fingers to see if we can install VMware tools with no more problems. We're also going to install the USB patch as well, but I do believe I need VMware tools installed to actually do that patch. I mean, I probably don't. I probably can create an ISO of it and just copy it over via ISO, like I did with Windows 2000 and their patches. That's usually the easiest method to do a lot of this stuff, is just creating one CD and just copying everything over onto one. So you put the CD in, it reads it, because it doesn't care if it's 20 gigs, 5 gigs, 100 gigs, doesn't phase it at all. Goes ahead, it'll read the CD or the ISO file, and then you're good. So now you can see up top, we have Windows NT version 4.0, build 1381, Service Pack 6, with one system processor and a 512 megabits of memory. Yay. Okay. So Control Alt and insert, and type in your password. And then huzzah, we now have Windows NT 4 Service Pack 6. Still drives me nuts, it doesn't actually tell me it over here. We're a system. Now, a lot of the other ones will always tell you which service pack you have into it, but this one doesn't. And it is what it is. The other crazy thing is too, you're looking about with total install and everything, about, I think with the DVDs and everything installed on them, was probably close to like 3 gigs, I think it was, with all the service packs. But yet, as you can see, it's only using like, what, 700 megabytes, a little less than the 600, yeah, 600 megabytes. So it's pretty weird on how these CDs were different. So I guess next thing is to install VMware tools. So hit Control Alt so we can get out of it. Go down to install VMware tools. My computer. Oh, never mind. Minimize that. And huzzah! VMware tools is actually running. Go ahead and click complete. Let it copy over the few things you need. Yes, I know it doesn't have it. I don't really need to read the README file. I'm good on that. As you can see here, the little icon is ready to go, and we're going to hit yes. And for what I like to do is I usually just go down here and just click on disconnect. So if everything went well with this installation, we should be now able to get drag and drop to this, so we can install the last patch, or technically the USB fix, as well as get some kind of full screen resolution, hopefully. Again, I've been having a few issues here and there on my workstation with these older ones of getting full screen. Some of them worked, like Windows 95 worked with no problem. 2000 worked with no problem. ME had a problem at first. 98 is still giving me a problem for some reason. It picks and chooses. Oh, and that's what happens when you hit the wrong button. So as you can see here, we have a lot of different colors to choose from, a lot of different sizing. So I'm going to hit apply. And now I have a full screen. So now we have Windows NT 4, Service Pack 1 through 6 installed, VMware tools, a nice looking full screen, and then like I always like to do is see what kind of backgrounds I got. Go over here to display, hit a Windows NT one, probably not. Well, technically it does. I'll take it. It looks good enough for me. And with Internet Explorer, which is amazing. So let's see. Can the Googles work? Yes, I guess. I mean, I don't know how we want to take this. I consider this technically a win. Even though it's not really working properly. It did see Google and it did go there. Oh wait, we forgot. Going to go ahead and take it out of full screen. And now I got to drag and drop the patch in here. So I'm going to open this up, go into my ISOs folder, and we are Windows NT Workstation. As you can see, I have the embedded, the enterprise server, terminal server, we got them all. So hopefully we'll be having a video of every one of them eventually. And we have the Windows NT4 USB support patch. Okay, we can drag and drop. Go ahead and make it full screen again. Pretty crazy. It's got the for a Dell driver. But I guess it really wouldn't matter. And like everything, it takes forever. There is no need to reboot your computer at this time, but we always do it. And then look, we have the little USB viewer down here, so we can plug in our USB devices and see what's going on with it. Okay, so we have the VMware tools installed, all the service packs done. We also have the USB drivers put in, and we verified that it technically does do networking. So, I call it a win in my eyes here. So if you like the video, like, subscribe. I do videos all the time. I provide all the stuff I do in these videos in links below, so you can follow along with me. I will actually be uploading the videos eventually too as well for some people. So you don't have to watch them on YouTube or any place you're watching them at this time. I have no idea where I'm going to be in the future, if I still stay on YouTube or not. But YouTube seems to be the easiest for me at the moment. I will be doing some newer videos coming up soon, which some obscurities like Friend OS I'll be doing, Ubuntu, the original Ubuntu that came out in 2004, Steam OS, how to put Chrome OS on here. Again, VMs will always be available for anybody to download, as well as the actual software that we use to do everything. So I put a lot of time and effort into this stuff, and hopefully some people like it. If you don't like it, let me know you don't like it down below. If you want me to change anything, you have any opinions, you're more than welcome to leave comments and email me if you have any problems doing the installs or have any problems with the installations that we're working with. You can always leave me a comment or send me an email, and I'll hopefully be able to assist you with whatever the problem you're having. Or if you really just don't want to have to worry about it and just download the VM, you can do that as well. So I just want to tell everybody, have a good night, enjoy your day, depending on wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. So, see you guys.